Hey everybody. Hey everybody. Hey everybody. How you doing? 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 I hope you're doing well, everybody. I've got some more Elite Dangerous for us today. Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous. We're still trying to make it. We're still trying to make it to the center of the Milky Way. So let's keep going. We got our next jump coming up right now. Frame shift drive charging. Frame shift drive charging. Frame shift drive charging. So, I hope you're all doing great today. I'm still working on this special video. I was inspired by this episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Not the new show, the old show. And there's this really, really complex unsolved mystery that I thought was just insane. And I wanted to share that with you all. I'm still working on that. It's a lot of audio recording, and researching and reading the wikis and things like that. So, still working on that. Hope to get that out either this week or next week. I should throw a role play at you one of these times too. The problem I have with doing role plays is, actually there's two problems with it. Three. I lied. Three problems with it. One problem is that I'm not really into dressing up. I've never really much cared for cosplay and things of that nature. So that aspect of it has never appealed to me. Then there's some technical issues with it. So my room isn't soundproofed or acoustically treated. And I would love to have a soundproofed, acoustically treated room. But I can't put it in my house because there's no good place in my house for it. So what I want to do is build a separate building, separate structure, outside of my house, and get that all wired up, get internet out there, get it soundproof, get it acoustically treated, but that's going to cost a lot of money, and I honestly don't know if I'm ever going to be able to accomplish that. So, because my room's not soundproofed or acoustically treated, I get a lot of sound reverberating off the walls. And this is exacerbated the more I have to sit away from my microphone. And obviously with a role play, you're further away from a microphone than, say, with one of these Let's Plays. Because with these Let's Plays, I'm right on top of the microphone. So I feel that the sound quality in my role plays suffers because of it. And I don't like that. I don't like it because I feel that ASMR, first and foremost, should be about the sound. And then everything else is just, icing on the cake, so to speak. So I don't like sacrificing sound quality in order to do a role play. The next problem with it is I have an Elgato green screen. this green screen has a pretty nice feature. So it comes in like a base, and then you can like pull it out of the base and prop it up. So it like rolls. It rolls back down into the base and it rolls out of the base, which is nice. So you never need to iron it. Pretty cool. The issue is, of course, it has a fixed width, and its width is not enough. Like, it's barely enough to fit me and my shoulders in. And because of that, it's difficult with, like, say, my webcam. Say I'm doing, like, a live stream. I have to set my webcam settings really low, like 720p, so that the shot's not too wide. And then still zoom in quite a bit. And, you know, I could bring the green screen closer, but of course the closer I bring the green screen to me, the more color bleed I have. And it becomes like, even if it's for like the furthest away I can make it, you can see all the color bleed on my arm hairs and things. But if I'm like, you know, obviously if I'm wearing like a hoodie or something like that, it's not too bad. But I can't constantly wear a hoodie in this room, especially since it's nearing the summertime. I mean, I can't even record during the summertime anyway. You know, because I have to, not during the daytime anyway, because I have to have an air conditioner running in here. And that's incredibly loud. I'm not fortunate enough to have central air in this house. So I have to use window units, and they are so loud. So I record very late at night when it's cooled down a bit, or very early in the morning. But yeah, it can be tough. It can definitely be tough. So that's why I haven't really been doing role plays. I did a few. I had the role play, not counting the NWO role play, because that was like without a green screen or anything. But I did a role play where I was running a game store, and I put in like ambient noise in the background to kind of make it feel like you're in a game store. And I had a role play for Affle ASMR where I was a nomad named Nero. And I did a role play. It was like a fishing role play, which I did with my webcam, that I don't think turned out really good. I'm not a fan of any of the role plays I do because of the sound issues. So I'm going to be, for the most part, avoiding those. And I apologize to those who maybe liked them. But I can't at the end of the day put that much effort into something that I ultimately just don't like the end product. You know, I can't. So yeah, I much prefer like sticking with some classical trigger videos or these soft-spoken or whispered Let's Plays with my sultry baritone. Sultry baritone. And I hope that you find that comforting. Okay. I don't know if I could find a sultry baritone necessarily comforting, but I could definitely find it to be good, like noise to have under the background, for me personally. Like, I have a lot of nightmares. I suffer from PTSD. I have a lot of nightmares. And often I'll put on a Bob Ross playlist. Just not over headphones, but just to have it running on my phone. Just so that when, if I do have a nightmare, having it on kind of knocks me back into reality and helps me kind of snap out of the nightmare a lot quicker. So yeah, I think that even when you find something that's not necessarily doing it for you in terms of like tingles, giving you tingles with ASMR, you can still find a good use for it. But a lot of people like Bob Ross and do find his stuff to be of a ASMR quality. A lot of people... Oh, excuse me. I just throat burped. I'm so sorry. A lot of people... What was I gonna say? No, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. There's this guy. He's like a spiritualist, like a Christian spiritualist. John Butler. Yeah, a lot of people find John Butler's voice to be very, very, very comforting. I just find him to be interesting. I like watching his videos because I find it to be interesting. That loud noise was my dog. She's lying down in the corner of the room, and I think she just kicked something. Obviously, she's trying to sleep, and I'm keeping her up. So anyway, I mapped a terraformable world, but right here we have another terraformable water world, which is pretty awesome. If you recall, during the last video, we got a terraformable water world. There we go. So now we found another one here, which I think is pretty dope, to be honest. I mean, it's not like these things are common. At least they're not supposed to be common, but I seem to find quite a lot of terraformables, which is good because that's going to help us achieve the elite rank in exploration. As long as we are able to get to a space station and deliver this cartographic data in one piece, which I think we should be able to do, barring any complication. I mean, I'm playing it pretty safe. I'm refueling always at about like half a tank. I don't do any planetary landings. I stay away from white dwarves, and I stay away from neutron stars and things of that nature. So I play this game pretty safe. So I think we should be able to make it pretty easy. As long as we don't get to the system with the space station and then get shot down by the computer. I swear, if the computer pulls me out of Super Cruise, I swear to God, I am actually going to flip the power supply off. That'll teach it. You ain't getting my cartographic data. So we're on slow approach to this planet here. Fun. Just slowly drawing in. Now, I feel a bit obligated to talk a little bit about gaming news with you. Right about now, if you follow gaming, you probably are hearing a lot about a Nintendo Switch Pro. And they've been talking about a Nintendo Switch Pro for quite a while, since 2017 even. But there's a lot of reason to believe that this time it's true. And I actually do believe it's true. And we could be looking at a Nintendo Switch Pro release in September. As early as September. Which is insane to me. But, you know, it's 2021 and the Switch came out like in 2016, 2017, something like that. And that poor little Tegra X1 chip in it, which was kind of, it was honestly kind of old when it was put in the machine, but, you know, it's definitely old right now. This planet's a candidate for terraforming too, which is pretty surprising. We got a little bit of flight to get out there. Not too bad. About 20,000 light seconds. That's not terrible. But yeah, the Tegra X1 was kind of old when the Nintendo Switch came out. So it, you know, it's probably time for an upgrade. It's just that, you know, things are so... all electronics are so hard to come by now because of this silicon shortage. Now, the silicon shortage, I mean, that's being blamed like on the coronavirus. And although I do think that has a lot to do with it, I remember seeing this documentary like 10, 12 years ago about how like back then they predicted that right about now we would be having a silicon shortage, which is why there was such a huge push for graphene to be the next semiconductor, because we're running short of silicon. And honestly, I think that a lot of it has to do with there not being sufficient recycling programs for these old electronics quickly enough. Which, I mean, it's bad, but it's also good for me because, you know, I like to collect old electronics and build vintage computers, which I would not be able to do if everybody recycled their parts. But in a way, I'm kind of recycling the parts because I'm still using them. So, hooray for me, I guess. But anyway, it predicted that we would be having a silicon shortage right about now. So I wonder if that has anything at all to do with it. I have to wonder, honestly. So it's like I want to be excited about a new Nintendo Switch, but I know I might as well not be because I'm not getting one. You know, I mean... all the bots, they're gonna do just the same thing that they've been doing with the PS5, just the same thing they've been doing with the Xbox Series X and S. You know, they're gonna be, every time there's a release of product, the bots are gonna get on these websites, they're gonna buy up all the product, and then they're gonna scalp them on eBay or whatever, eBay, Amazon, whatever. And there's no way in heck that I'm going to be able to get one. So, although normally I think this would excite me, I'm not really terribly excited about it. But it's supposed to be, you know, a substantial upgrade from the original Nintendo Switch, which is pretty cool. It's supposed to have like an OLED screen, which is better than LCD, because like OLED's blacks, for instance, are like blacker than black because it's literally like not lighting up, like not emitting light from that particular pixel. So that should look pretty good. And I think, I mean, it's rumored that it's going to be using a technology called DLSS, which stands for Deep Learning Super Sampling. And this technology is pretty darn cool. So it can take an image and, like, say a 1080p image, and then upscale it to 4K, but it doesn't really upscale it by the traditional sense. It actually goes in and makes it look better without all of the hardware superpower that you would normally need to get that 4K image. And in some cases, it actually makes it look better than native 4K, which is insane to me. Now, the OLED screen on the Nintendo Switch is still going to be 720p. But, I mean, if something is like, if you have deep learning super sampling, improving an image so much, like to the point where you get 4K on your TV, imagine what that's going to look like on a 720p screen. It's going to look absolutely phenomenal. So that's exciting, at the very least. But we'll have to see. Evidently, the old Switch Joy-Cons are compatible with the new Switch. And a lot of people are concerned that that means, oh, well, Joy-Con drift is still going to be a thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. So it could be like the same hookups, you know, that we have in the current Switch, but they might come out with like Switch Pro Joy-Cons that have a better design. So just because it's compatible with the original Joy-Cons doesn't necessarily mean we won't get better Joy-Cons, you know what I'm saying? So don't worry too much about that. At least I wouldn't. So yeah, I mean, just imagine the possibilities with this piece of hardware. Imagine how good the games are going to look. Imagine Breath of the Wild 2 being on this thing. Now, what is concerning is that something like Breath of the Wild 2 might be a Switch Pro exclusive, which would really be bad because, you know, if you can't get one, then you can't play Breath of the Wild 2. Which I don't really care about because I don't really like the original Breath of the Wild very much. I'm sorry, but I mean, I can look at it and I can say, yeah, you know, it does a lot of great things. It's just that, like, the package in and of itself as a whole, I'm just not a huge fan of. There were other Zelda games that I preferred, you know. I'm sure there were people, you know, when Ocarina of Time came out that maybe didn't really care for Ocarina of Time by comparison to, like, A Link to the Past. I could imagine that. In fact, I guarantee there's people out there that would think that. Okay, so we don't have any more terraformables in this system, so let's hop over to the next system. And I guess for me, Breath of the Wild is just one of those games where it's like, I wanted it to be kind of something different than it was, you know? I wanted it to be kind of like Skyrim a little bit. I wanted more RPG elements in it, essentially. And there's just certain things about it. Like, I don't like how... Okay, so you can make food that gives you, say, like really high defense, for instance, right? And you've prepared for battle. And you go in, and because you got decent armor and the really high defense because of the food and all the extra hearts and everything, the thing you're fighting can't really do much damage to you, which is like, okay, yeah, I mean, that's because you're prepared. But because of that, you don't want any unprepared battles, because essentially that's going to waste away your weapons and your shields, and there's no crafting system for that either. And, you know, you have a much higher chance of dying. That's a cool looking planet. You have a much higher chance of dying because you didn't prepare for the battle. So you kind of want to avoid fighting. And then there's just a lot of other stuff, like just silly stuff that just kills you. You know, you're just trying to get to a town and like you get into an unexpected battle, or you fall off a cliff, or you know, you drown or something like that. You know, it's just like annoying. I don't know. I get annoyed by it, you know. I don't like little nitpicky games like that. They're not really my thing. I realize a lot of people like games like that because there's a lot of people that love Breath of the Wild. I'm just not, you know, one of them. I'm more of a Majora's Mask kind of guy. That's my game. And I liked Ocarina too. I like Majora's Mask more than Ocarina. But I do like Ocarina. What else? Well, like, A Link to the Past. A Link to the Past is a pretty good game. The problem I have with that, like I've had with that game, I've never beaten it. And the reason why is like the last time I went to play it, I'm like, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna perfect this game, right? But I had just beaten The Legend of Zelda 2, Link's Adventure. So when I'm going through playing A Link to the Past, by comparison, it's a much easier game. And that's probably for the better, because A Link to the Past is, I mean, not A Link to the Past, but Link's Adventure, I find to be an insanely difficult game. Too difficult, to be honest with you. So I just finished playing Zelda 2 and beating it. And now I'm playing a much easier Zelda game to the point where it's like, I find it boring now because there's just a stark difference in difficulty. So I got like 60% through it and didn't finish it. So I can kind of recognize that it's a good Zelda game. I just couldn't finish it. I couldn't keep interested in it. Now, I did play also some of A Link Between Worlds on the 3DS. And I didn't get to finish that either. And I regret that because I thought that game was awesome. Really great Zelda game. But of the ones I've finished, which is a few of them, I like Majora's Mask the best. And then probably second would be Link's Awakening. And I really enjoyed the Link's Awakening remake too. A lot of people didn't really like the frame rate slowdowns. I was fine with them. Like, I was just happy to be playing such a well-made remake of a Zelda game that I kind of felt has kind of been underrated over the years. I was really happy to be playing that. One of my favorite Zelda games, you know, second favorite Zelda game of all time. And I like Ocarina. Ocarina's probably next. Those are my top three. And then I don't really know what to make of, like, Twilight Princess. Because I remember playing Twilight Princess, like, on the Wii. And being blown away by it. I thought back then when I played it, I'm like, dude, this is the best Legend of Zelda game I've ever played. I thought it was really good. And then a few years ago, I was playing it on the Dolphin emulator, the GameCube version this time, and I really hated it. Like, I thought it was like a really annoying experience overall. So I don't really know. I don't really know what I think of it, to be honest with you. All right. So we are about at the half-hour mark, and we just entered a star system that only has one star in it, and that's it. So I think this is a good place to end the video, because I don't really honestly have anything else to ramble on about in this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, though. If you did, give me a thumbs up, and also subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon so that you never miss an upload, and I hope beyond hope that you have a great night. And also, the original block text design hoodies are being discontinued. The CliqueMate Sense 2020 shirts are being discontinued at the end of June. So if you want one of those shirts, make sure to get it. They're pretty comfy. I like them. I own one myself, so I don't think you'll be disappointed. And I see a couple of bucks from that, so it would really help a lot. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a good night. Goodbye, my friends, and my CliqueMates. Goodbye. Goodbye. Subscribe.